Here, Shannon Payton from eXp Realty. I am here to help you have a better understanding of home buying. So today we are going to focus on the top 10 fears that you have that are keeping you as a renter. We're going to go ahead and address all of that today. Now, just so you know, these are not in any particular order. These are just things that I know that I've heard over the 6 years that I've been in real estate, and just some things that I know that people experience. I work with people all the time with helping them get over mindset issues. And that's one of the main reasons that we're going to start with there. So one reason that you're not a homeowner and that you're fearing it is that you've created a limited belief. If you don't know what a limited belief is, it's a belief that you have in your head that limits your ability to do anything. So you believe that you can't be a homeowner because you don't know how much it costs to be a homeowner. Well, if you're not exactly trying to figure out how much it costs to be a homeowner, you'll never know how much it is to be a homeowner. Or you might have a limited belief that, oh, and this is one I get all the time. Oh, I have to have 20% down in order to buy a house. No, you don't. You do not have to have 20% down anymore to buy a house. That's a lot of what our parents and our grandparents had to experience, or people that are older had to experience. But when things changed with the housing market, so did your ability to be able to qualify for things. So we're going to start there. So the first thing on the list is you've created a limited belief. One of the main things you could do to overcome a limited belief is to research the thing that scares you the most. Flat out. If you know that you are just a scary person, like I know people who are just scary. Like you're scared to do anything. You're scared to make a decision because you might feel bad about the decision that you've made. Research what makes you scared about that. Okay, which can really take us into our next point, which is number 2. Again, in no particular order. You're afraid that you might buy a bad house. Very fair. It is okay to be afraid that you're going to buy a bad house. But there's ways to make sure that you don't buy a bad house. Want to hear them? Somebody asked me, Shannon, how can we make sure that we don't buy a bad house? Glad you asked. One way that you can make sure that you don't buy a bad house is make sure that you work with a licensed and insured home inspection company. Home inspection companies are going to be beneficial with helping you make sure that you're getting a good house, whether you're buying or selling. It doesn't matter. If you own a home, you're going to need to have a home inspection done. If you're buying a home, you're going to need to have a home inspection done. I'm just saying. So you want to make sure that you have a home inspection done. When you get that home inspection, make sure you read it. Don't leave it as a responsible, just take the word of your agent, okay? All agents are not created the same, okay? So read the home inspection report. It's going to be like 30 pages, and it's going to break down different sections of the home inspection. They're not cutting in walls. They're not beating out, like looking in the wall and all that sorts of things. But they are going in the crawl space if they can, meaning if it's not too shallow. Older homes have more of a shallow crawl space. Newer homes have a deeper crawl space. But housing. So they're going to give you a report. It's going to include major issues that you see, which are things that need to be addressed. It's going to include minor things, which are things that could be an issue. And it's also going to include satisfactory items. They're going to use a lot of companies now, if they don't go on the roof, then they're going to use a drone. Gosh, it was like right there. They'll use a drone to see the top of the house, to see what the shingles and the roofing look like. They're going to make sure that they run the different appliances and things. So it's your report as a buyer to make sure that you're getting what you need to know that you're buying a good house. So it reduces the fear, or the second thing that I said, which is you're afraid that you're going to get a bad house. Okay? So that home inspection is going to help with that. Sometimes people get the home inspection report, which takes me to step number 3. Sometimes people get the home inspection report and they change their mind. So sometimes you might be fearful as a home buyer. Oh my gosh, what if I see this house and I get it? Or I might get it and I change my mind. It's okay. It's okay. People change their minds. When you work with an experienced realtor, hey, and there's other ones out there, but we understand that these things can happen. You might change your mind, which is why you want to be very clear about what you want and what you need. So to counteract that fear, or that number 3 that I just said, which is what if I change my mind, you want to make a list of your wants and needs. Understand what you want and what you need. For instance, with my house, I use this as an example all the time. I did not want the toilet next to the tub. Period. I had little children at that time. I am not fitting between a toilet and a tub. It ain't happening. Okay? So I did not want my house to have the toilet and tub next to each other. And neither one of our bathrooms had the toilet and tub next to each other. They're across from each other. Gave me space because when I had little ones, I had to get down on my knees and bathe them. So for me, that was important. So understand what your wants and your needs are. Okay? Now, there were other things that I had on my list that were just completely ridiculous. Like I didn't want to be in the town that I am. I'm in the town that I'm in. I didn't want to be in a 2-story home. I'm in a 2-story home. I didn't want to have small yard. I have a small yard. And the reality is that when we moved here, we didn't really have a need for a big yard. So some things that I thought were needs weren't really needs. So one way to avoid what if I change my mind is to understand what your wants and needs are going into the home. If you know that you have 4 children that are across different age groups and you must have a 4-bedroom, maybe you have a set of twins and then you have boy, girl, opposite ages. You need 4 bedrooms. Maybe you might not have children. Maybe you work from home and you need a 3-bedroom or 2-bedroom with an office. Be clear on that. The more clear you are, the better it is, the easier it is for you to avoid what if I change my mind, right? Which takes me to number 4. Okay, stick with me. Number 4, you might have a fear that you're going to get a bad agent. Listen, you could, but there are some ways that you could avoid that, like research. Ask your friends, hey, who did you use to purchase your home? Did you like it? How was the experience for you? And then research them. Don't just take their word for it. Research them. Google them. There should be some sort of something about the agent. It's a fact that they say majority of home buyers and sellers use the first agent that comes across them. The first agent. What? Did you marry or did you choose to mate with the first person that came across you? Absolutely not. So don't have that same experience with your home because this is a hundreds of thousands, maybe for some people, $1 million purchase. You don't want to just pick the first thing that comes skipping along. And don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that your first pick might not be the best pick, but make sure that you're doing the research. Ask around, okay? Make sure that that agent is experienced in what you want to do. I'm not experienced in selling farms. I'm not selling a farm. That's not my wheelhouse. However, I know an agent who predominantly focuses on horse farms. Why would I do that? Okay? So the next few are going to all kind of focus around finances, money, and credit. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and get into number 5. What if I get denied for the loan? It's okay. Again, it's okay. As that means, because this is how we learn. Okay? So the more forthright and honest you are with your agent or whoever you go to first, just tell them, look, this is where I'm at. I'm not quite sure. Or if you're not sure if you're going to get approved or denied, pull your credit. Pull it. The only way you're going to know if you're ready, like credit-wise, is if you pull it. Like, it's just not going to like airdrop into your brain, the lender's brain, or the realtor's brain, okay? You're going to need to pull your credit. When you pull your credit, again, this is the difference with working with agents who are experienced in what you're trying to achieve. So if you're a first-time home buyer, maybe you only need a 620, right? Because the loan that you're trying to qualify for can approve you at a 620. But if you're not a first-time home buyer and maybe you're trying to do more of a traditional route with a conventional loan, then you're going to be well above that. So it just depends. Different loan types, different credit requirements, okay? So the best way to make sure that you don't get denied for a loan is to understand, 1, what your credit is, all right? And 2, what your debt load is. So real quick, debt load. You might hear people say DTI or debt to income. The lower your debt to income, the more likely you are to get approved. Ideally, this is just a blanket statement. We'll get into like a in-depth DTI video kind of thing later, okay? But just as a blanket statement, DTI, debt to income. You want it under 50%. And 50% is the maximum. So technically, you really want it under like 40%, okay? As low to the ground as you could go. It's like limbo. How low can you go? Oh, can you go down low? You want to get it down low, okay? And this is what you want to do. Check your credit. make sure you have a low DTI. All right. So another thing that this is going to lead to, and just speaking of savings, Shannon, how much money? I don't know. This is another one. I don't know what to expect as far as cost when it comes to purchasing a home. Again, it's okay. Listen, if you never bought a home, even if you have bought a home, it's very unlikely that you remember how much money you paid out for everything. It's just unlikely. It's not realistic, okay? So, I mean, I barely remember what I wore yesterday. What in the world, okay? So take it easy on yourself. Give yourself some grace, okay? So when you're trying to purchase, you want to make sure that you have enough money for your earnest costs, which are your out-of-pockets for like the deposit, the home inspection. Those things vary depending on your state and location. I know here in the state of Delaware, we're looking at, like we did one recently, and she pretty much had everything. So she did the whole kit, like radon. I don't think she did lead. So she didn't have to do water because she was in town. She did pool, home inspection, wood destroying insect, or what we call WDI. Collectively, her inspections were about $1,000. It could have gone up to $1,200 had she gotten the water inspection, which she didn't have to do because it was on town water. They tested, so she didn't have to do it because she didn't have a well. But some places you might have a well. So anyway, about $1,200 for inspections, $1,000 for a deposit, and that could vary. It fluctuates depending on the cost of the house and, again, location. Okay, her appraisal was maybe like $700. Okay, so she just had to have at least $2,500 just to start there. Then there was another breakdown of what she had to pay as far as what she had to have in her account as far as her, we were able to negotiate closing costs, which again, we'll do a video about that on another day, because when you get into finances, it gets a little bit deeper than what I want to get into right now. So she had her closing costs, which again, some agents say it's a specific percentage. It varies based on where you are. We'll do a video on that later. And then you have the lender usually wants to see like 2 to 3 months of what your potential mortgage payment would be inside your account. So it could be as little as $5,000, depending on how much the house is, or as much as like $15,000. Okay. But on average right now, I'm telling people like $8,000, $6 to $8,000 is good. Okay. With the starter cost of where I'm located in Delaware, you know, first time home buyers are looking around like anywhere from $250 to $360 for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Yes, Delaware. Okay. So that's what's happening. So you want to make sure that you understand what your costs are. So I think so far we got there. I don't have enough money to close, which takes me here. What if I don't have enough money, Shannon? I cannot save $8,000. That's okay. It's fine. They're home buyer programs. Okay? And sometimes you can negotiate these costs with the seller. It just depends. Okay? So I tell people at home buying, everything's negotiable. Everything's negotiable. Everything's got a number. Okay? But it's just a matter of understanding. Okay? And just because you can don't mean you should. That's something my mom always said. Just because you can don't mean you should. All right. So do I have enough to close? If you're afraid to apply because you're not sure, then maybe there's a home buyer program around you. And they're not all low income programs. Okay. They're not always going to be, you know, the Habitats, or like in our area, we have something called Milford Housing. It's not going to always be that. It could be a program that maybe your housing authority offers because they got funding to be able to offer it. Or maybe your job might offer something. If you work for a state, maybe that your particular employer offers something. You might be able to pull out from your 401k. Okay? Now, these are options. I'm not saying that you have to do them all, but there are options. If it's something that you really want to do, if you don't feel like, hey, Shannon, I just don't have enough saved right now. Well, if you have money in your 401k, then you could use that. You can use first-time homebuyer program. Now, typically, if you're going to use a first-time homebuyer program, it's going to be either or. It's very rarely going to be both of what I'm about to say. The down payment, right? Down payment, which is going to be like, in most cases, for FHA, 3.5%. Or it's going to be closing costs. Let's say you do USDA, which is 100% financing, or VA, which is 100% financing. Is going to be closing costs. So they're not going to give you money for both. It's typically going to be either or. So there's options. So the last or the next two things on here, I think kind of are some that I've heard people say, and it makes sense. So the first one is, what if I get into this house and I can't afford it once I get in there? That's real life. That's a real legitimate, I'm nervous. Here's what I tell people. Get in the house and live in there for a year. Like, don't get in and like try to change the outside landscaping and all of that. See what you have there first. One, go through the seasons to see what's there, right? You might have some landscaping there that you actually like, okay? Give it a year. It takes a year to understand what your house is going to do. You're new to that house, and that house is new to you. You might not use the same amount of heat and electric as the previous owner. Yeah, you can always ask for the electric bills. That's something you can ask for. Like, if you're not sure if you can afford it, you can ask them, hey, what's the electric bill on this house? What's the heating look like? What are some of the other fees that are associated with this home? Beyond taxes, okay? Trash pickup, if it's not included in the taxes or municipality, meaning within the town, okay? So you can ask your agent to get that from the other agent for you, okay? So it gives you more of a realistic idea of how to work your numbers. So that helps ease that. And something else that I teach my clients when they come to me, whether it be for real estate or credit, is practice the lifestyle that you want to have. If you know, and you know, we'll do a cute little ditty, what I call the mortgage test. If you know that, let's say hypothetically, you are doing $1,000 right now. Let's just use $1,000. Let's say you pay $1,000 a month for your rent, and you would like a home that's no more than $1,500 a month. If you can bank that $500 a month for the next 6 months, then you could probably afford the mortgage that you want. Okay? It's going to do two things. It's going to get you used to saving for that mortgage, and it's going to put some money in the bank. It's like $3,000. Yeah, 500 times 6, that's $3,000. So that gives you some of the earnest fees that I just talked about, right? So that's going to give you a lot of what you need, okay? Ask, have your agent ask. You could do that. What do the bills look like here, right? So that helps you get over that. What happens if I get it and I can't afford it, okay? You'll know. Work your numbers, work your budget. You tell your budget what you want it to do. Don't let it tell you, then cry when it beats you up, okay? Because that's a lot of what happens. And then lastly, the biggest thing is you don't know what to expect. Now, if you've made it this far in this video, I've given you a lot of what you can expect. But home buying is different for everybody. So what will happen is I'm going to follow up with a video to teach you more about what you can expect. But if you're using the I don't know what to expect as a reason to not buy, the best way to overcome that is to locally look for some home buyer workshops or online, or just subscribe, because I'm going to be teaching you how you could buy a house and how you can sell a house and what you can expect as you're moving through that process, because that's why we're here, okay? Because here's one thing that I always believe, and I don't care what people say. An educated consumer makes better decisions. If you don't know, then you don't know what to do. You can only do according to what you understand. So if you want to continue to learn how you can improve your credit, your savings, your budget, how you can become a homeowner, how you can become a successful home seller, maybe you're selling your first house, this is where you want to be. Subscribe, comment, turn on the bell. Let me know. Post your questions, and I'm going to be answering them for you. See you this time next week. Can't wait to see all the things and all the ways that we're going to be helping you get towards homeownership, because what? Educated consumers make better decisions. Thank you again. You guys have a lovely one.